Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Believe in Mavs with Mo Murphy. As always, I am your host, Mo Murphy, and I hope everyone is enjoying their Memorial Day weekend right about now. We're having a long weekend in the middle of a long weekend, and the Dallas Mavericks play in Game 3 tonight. So that's something we're going to be talking about. I hope everybody's enjoying time with their families. I hope everybody does what they want to do on this long weekend. Take some time from work, enjoy some time with your family. It's also my birthday weekend, so I've been celebrating all weekend. This has been big for me, so I'll be turning 29. Thank you for any happy birthdays in advance. But let's talk a little bit about Game 2 before we get into Game 3. So just some quick news. I didn't talk too much after Game 2 here on Believe in Mavs for the simple fact they had me on the radio on Friday night, and then I also talked on FanDuel Radio. And I was going to do a show, then had some family stuff to do. You know, they took the kids swimming, things like that. So let's talk about Game 2 just a little bit. Not going to focus too much. I know everybody else in the space is already covered, and we're on to Game 3. So just Game 2, Luka did what he does. Hits the game winner in Rudy Gobert's face, gets the matchup he wants to be able to take he takes his famous step back three that we're all used to Luka hitting throughout the season, throughout a game. That's like his select shot. He got the matchup he wanted. The game was wild, obviously down by 18, having to make a comeback. It seems like the theme for the Dallas Mavericks in these playoffs is let's do it, but let's do this the hard way. Like there was an opportunity where Dallas could have beat OKC in 5 in the second round, right? You guys remember that? And it seemed like, man, that would be the perfect scenario. Luka's banged up. It would give us a few extra days of rest, especially because the second round, Minnesota and Denver had went to 7. So, but let's do it the hard way. Let's win in 6. Let's not get the couple extra days rest that we could have got. Then now we're up 2-0. But hey, let's win Game 2. Let's win Game 1 by not shooting great from the three-point line. Let's do it the hard way. Let's do it the unconventional way. Let's use our let's win different ways. Then in Game 2, it's like, okay, we go down 18. Let's do it the hard way. Let's get Kyrie going. Let's get Luka going. Let's come back and let's get this victory. And so that's basically been what it's been. It's like it seemed like Dallas wanted to do it the hard way. Now, to be up 2-0, doing it the hard way in the Western Conference Finals is nothing to smirk at. It's serious. Like it's ultimate success right now that they're sitting up 2-0, playing in Dallas for Game 3. That's the biggest key is they took 2 on the road. I know what everybody's thinking about tonight's game, though. You don't want to get overly excited about the opportunity of going up 3-0 if you're the Dallas Mavericks tonight because you just watched in the second round. You watched Minnesota and Denver. You watched Minnesota walk into Denver, go up 2-0. Looked like the series might be over. Like these were the defending champs. Man, Minnesota, Anthony Edwards. Then Denver wins 2. So it's like I'm walking you through the process of basically just everything that happened. And it was like, so now we're in that scenario. Dallas comes in, takes 2 in Minnesota, and is playing Game 3 in Dallas. And the biggest question is Dallas going to go up 3-0? Is Minnesota afraid of a sweep? Yes. Being down 2-0 when you lost 2 at your crib and you're heading to have to play on the road, 100%. You are nervous about getting swept. Now, they're probably not talking about it in the locker room. I think this is more the Mavericks fans, the Maverick fandom, the guys who cover the Mavericks, I think they're a little nervous that, hey, our season might be over. This series might be over a lot quicker than we thought. And the thought was a lot of people had Minnesota winning this series. And so through the first 2 games, a lot of people had Minnesota winning this series because Karl Anthony Towns, Rudy Gobert, and Naz Reid, they felt like that's what would be the mismatch for Dallas. And so PJ Washington and Daniel Gafford and Derek Lively have answered the call. I would say between the way they have played on both sides of the ball, I would say PJ Washington, Derek Lively, and Daniel Gafford have played as a trio of bigs better than Karl Anthony Towns, Naz Reid, and Rudy Gobert. Now, I know that's tough to say after the 3-point show that Naz Reid put on in Game 2, but that's something to consider for Game 3. That's something you have to feel great about when you're the Dallas Mavericks going up 2-0 is the fact when you play on the road, typically in the playoffs, the home team is where the role players step up. We talk about home court advantage, and I think to me, home court advantage, especially in the playoffs, is for the simple fact that's when the role players step up. That's when the Naz Reids shoot lights out. That's when Jaden McDaniels shoot lights out. The stars are going to be stars. Essentially, I mean, I know we could say Anthony Edwards hasn't been the greatest of superstars in these first two games, and neither is Karl Anthony Towns. He hasn't been good, all-star caliber player these first two games. But like road, home, it doesn't matter. You always feel like you should be able to lean on your stars. But the role players are the difference in winning games. And so I think that's where the home court advantage comes in. And you saw it with Minnesota. Jaden McDaniels shot lights out. Like Dallas hit 6 threes in the entire game. I think Jaden McDaniels hit 5 or 6 himself in game 1. Dallas was able to hit a lot more threes in game 2, but obviously Naz Reid couldn't miss. And then, you go to the last second shot and they tried to get it to Naz Reid. And I know a lot of people, and he took the shot. And I know a lot of people question, well, it should have been Karl Anthony. Well, it really should have been Anthony Edwards taking that shot. And since he's had these comparisons to Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant, the feeling was, well, Anthony Edwards is going to take that shot. And I think Dallas probably thought so too, because if it was the opposite end, it was only going to be, you saw it. It was one of Luka or Kyrie. Those were the only options to get the ball with the game on the line. And so they probably, I would assume if I was playing defense with 3 seconds left, that this is going to be Anthony Edwards, whether he's shooting a 3, a 2, whatever. I would say it's going to Anthony Edwards, but Naz Reid was the hot man all night. Dallas constantly left him open. And so basically their philosophy defensively, that's how they closed out the game. If we're going to lose, we are going to lose to these role players. And you're already up 1-0, so you feel a lot more comfortable with that decision being up 1-0 at the end of a game 2 while you're on the road, knowing that I'll live and die with this, because the worst case scenario is we leave out of Minnesota 1-1. So you ride or die with some of those decisions. And yeah, they essentially rode or died, and essentially basically rode for the fact that Naz Reid is going to take that final shot. And so Naz Reid took the shot. He missed. Hey, I feel like while that ball was in the air, every Mavericks fan that has celebrated the Luka jump shot, everybody just had to stop breathing for a second while it's floating in the air. And it looked good too. It looked like Naz Reid was going to hit it. It looked like a lot of that trash talk that Luka did to Rudy Gobert after hitting what was the go-ahead game winner. Looked like he was going to have to eat his words. There was going to be some things to be answered, but you still would have felt good leaving out of Minnesota 1-1. Instead, 2-0. Game 3 is tonight. And it's tough to point out, the biggest factors for Dallas. Let's be honest. I mean, the obvious is the obvious. Obviously, the biggest factors, not the X factors, not the ones that you're not thinking about, that if they step up, they get the wins. But obviously, the biggest factors are Luka and Kyrie. They've been the biggest factors in this series. Kyrie has been a tale of two halves in the first 2 games. Game 1 played like typical Kyrie that we're used to seeing in the first half, got real cold in the second half, and then basically reverse in game 2. Starts out really slow. It's like, damn, Kyrie, we need some points. We need to get you going. And then the Kyrie Irving that we're used to seeing showed up in the second half and showed out, played absolutely amazing. Him and Luka, I don't want to say carried the team, as if Lively didn't do a lot of great things. Daniel Gafford made that incredible shot while falling. Daniel Gafford has everybody did some key things, but it was carried offensively by what Luka and Kyrie were able to do in the second half, leading that comeback. And so basically in the third quarter and basically playing the fourth quarter as if the game was 0-0. So when I'm looking at game 3, it's tough to say what should Dallas do outside of what they've been doing. When you're up 2-0, to me, I'm not Jason Kidd. I'm not Luka. I'm not Kyrie. I'm none of these NBA players, period. I'm not the last player on our team on the bench. Like all these guys. But what I see is if I'm up 2-0, I think it's what are we adjusting to? There's some minor adjustments. There's some things that when you watch film, they're going to talk about as a team behind the scenes. Coach Kidd is going to point out. But when you're up 2-0, like, okay, you'll go into film from game 2 and say, all right, well, we're going to go over basically the first half. Everything we did terrible. Why did we find ourselves down 18? But clearly they made those adjustments at halftime. And so for a game 3 plan, I think, me personally, this game is on the role players. And I'm not talking about the pressure is on PJ Washington. I'm not saying the pressure is on Derrick Jones Jr. And if they don't show up, we don't win this game. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is if PJ Washington can have another OKC type game at home in game 3, and I think that's possible. Some of PJ Washington's best games in the postseason have been at home because some of these, and when I say role players, it's no discredit. There's just there's your stars, your leaders of the team, and then there's everybody else. And everybody else, there's tiers of roles, yes, but PJ Washington is a role player. He's not Kyrie, he's not Luka, he's a role player. Some of his best games were at home. Derrick Jones Jr. had a stretch in game 4, 5, and 6 2 of those 3 games were at home. Game 4 in Dallas, game 5 in OKC, game 6 in Dallas. In that 3-game stretch, he constantly got better. So 1 at home, 1 on the road, 1 at home again to close out the series. But these guys play really well at home. Derek Lively and Daniel Gafford have played well on the road. I would expect them to play just as well, if not a little bit better at home. The only person that I'm really concerned about out at home is Luka, which is the craziest thing to ever say in the world. And I don't mean that he won't show up. That's not what I'm talking about. But Luka on the road is a different type of killer. And we all know, everybody knows that. Everybody has noticed it. They know that he feeds off the negativity of the crowd. He feeds off the trash talk. And obviously at home, he embraces the home crowd. But he plays, it seems like it's a little bit friendlier basketball. And I don't mean friendlier in trying to win or lose. I'm talking about friendlier as far as like, it's that killer, that nasty, like, I don't give a damn what you talking about. Your crowd didn't talk to your mans on sitting courtside that's sitting here and got me going, got me pissed off, because pissed off Luka is the best player in the NBA. Non-pissed off Luka has an argument to be the best player in the NBA, but pissed off Luka is the best player in the NBA. And so I'm a little concerned with how he'll come out early. Obviously, I don't think the home crowd really gonna get him going. So if he doesn't come out hitting, is it gonna be one of those like, man, it's tough for me to get going because I don't feed off of the home crowd. I embrace the home crowd. So when I play really well, I embrace. But if I'm playing bad, it's tough to feed off of and find that motivation to get going when you're that type of killer, and that trash talk, that negativity, the when the other team scores and the crowd's going crazy, I want to silence that crowd. That type of mentality is tough to come by. But when you have that type of mentality, you're just a different type of killer on the road than at home. So Luka's the guy that I'm paying attention to. I think, there's also ways to change narratives, and Luka has done that in these playoffs. So to change Luka's probably a little bit better on the road. He's just a different type of killer. I wouldn't say better statistically. It just looks different because he looks like a different type of killer on the road. And so while I'm looking at Luka, at home, I think if he comes out hot early, and I'm not saying in the first quarter he has to score 25 points in the first quarter for me to come out hot, but if he can score 9 or 11 in the first quarter, be 3 or 5, 4 or 6 from the field, maybe hit a 3 or 2, come out hot. That's what the first quarter looks like. I think Luka will obviously carry that momentum through the other 3 quarters, and be able to play as well as he can offensively. I'm not sure what Dallas is going to do with Kyrie. They've given us mixed signals this entire playoffs. Like, you don't know. In game 1, Kyrie comes out aggressive first half. In game 2, he doesn't. I think that's more of a plan thing than Kyrie just saying, like, no, I'm not going to come out and be a killer. Like, I think that's more of a game plan thing, and they pick their spots with Kyrie. I think they pick their moments in the game. Their 2 to 3 minutes of a scoring burst we need from Kyrie. We need the ball in your hands for these next 2 minutes, bro. Get us going. And so I don't know how they're going to come out tonight with Kyrie Irving, but he's showing you he's either going to play elite, at least a half. You at least going to get an all-time great half from Kyrie Irving, but it's not like he goes absolutely missing and doesn't contribute to winning basketball after that. It's just that ultimate elite, like peak Kyrie Irving. And then after that, you see the let me do all the dirty work Kyrie throughout the rest of the game. Let me carry this offense with playmaking. Let me play defense. Let me be an elite on-ball defender in these playoffs. Let me go guard Anthony Edwards. So Kyrie has basically done everything you could possibly do as a basketball player to contribute to, Dallas being in this predicament heading into game 3. So before we get out of here, it's not a lot. I mean, I'm going to take Dallas game 3. I think Dallas goes up 3-0. It's tough. I think Anthony Edwards is gassed. If Minnesota didn't switch from game 1 to game 2, who they're going to have guard Kyrie Irving on a consistent basis? And I don't think they really have a true answer for that. If Anthony Edwards is the one getting gas, like Jay McDaniels is going to get gas guard. So any one of those guys, I think you have to make a switch though, right? Because, I mean, I wouldn't want Kyrie Irving being my player that's gas guarding Anthony Edwards when we know we need him on the offensive side of the ball. I would much prefer it's Derrick Jones Jr. or Josh Green, or I would much prefer it's someone like that who's kind of getting tired and we might miss you through some minutes. You might, your legs are tired. You're not able to hit open jump shots. So I think if I'm Minnesota needed, I don't know how they figure out their we can't guard Kyrie Irving problem, because they can't guard Kyrie Irving. And then if you switch, you're going to put Anthony Edwards on what? You're going to have to put him on Derrick Jones Jr. and basically hide him defensively, because Anthony Edwards is an elite defender, so he's a two-way player, which is why Dallas knows that, and they've been able to gas him because they know he's committed on 100% on both sides of the ball. And so they knew he would come into this series and be 100% committed on trying to stop Kyrie Irving, and it wore him out. He's worn down. And they're playing every other day. They didn't get that long break between Friday night's game. We're right back on Sunday. So they didn't get that 2-day break between travel. And so I think Anthony Edwards is gassed. I think Dallas is going to be able to take advantage early. And I'm not sure if Dallas were to jump out early and go up 18. I don't think Dallas blows the lead to Minnesota. I think Dallas keep it going. They're not blowing no 18-point lead. I know we've seen Minnesota do it. We see Minnesota do it. We saw Denver do it. So to say Dallas wouldn't be the one to blow it, I just don't see it. This team is built different right now. This team is on a different mission right now. This team see the Larry O'Brien trophy in their future. I think this team see who they're going to match up against. I think Dallas is so focused on getting Minnesota up out of here so they can get some rest because, mind you, the NBA Finals is on a schedule. So don't worry about Saturday night's results, and Boston ended up sweeping Indiana. It ended up winning against Indiana, so it looks like they're going to sweep Indiana. They're up 3-0. But even if Dallas, let's say Dallas is able to go up 3-0 and both, Boston and Dallas close this out in 4, that's still going to give them a long break because the finals schedule is already set. Those days set the players set to play. So you're going to get the rest in between to those days. They might start a day or two early. There's some leeway on both sides. But the finals are set. So if you're able to sweep Minnesota and maybe Indiana's able to win game 4, so they at least playing a game 5, a couple extra days rest, a couple extra days to focus. So I think Dallas is going to win this game 3. I don't know about win it big, but I think this is going to be a statement for Dallas because, look, they got six more victories, baby. We got 6 more victories till we see that Larry O'Brien trophy being hoisted in Dallas. So I think they know that. They're going to come out fully focused. This isn't the game you want to play around with and give Minnesota life. But at the same time, most people are going to go with Minnesota just because it's the safest thing to do is not bet that 2 evenly matched teams, one of those teams is going to go down 3-0. That's the safest bet. But this is the Believe in Mavs podcast with Mo Murphy. And Mo Murphy don't care about no safe bets. Mo Murphy going to rock with the team. And if we up 2-0, what make you think we can't go up 3-0? So on that note, Dallas Mavericks going to win game 3. They're going to go up 3-0. And the conversation throughout the week after Memorial Day is going to be completely different, especially leading up to Tuesday, where we go up 3-0 Tuesday. I'm calling a sweep and the series is over. On that note, I appreciate everybody for tuning in on this episode of Believe in Mavs with Mo Murphy. Be well, be safe. Take care of your people. Love your family. Have a great day. And we will talk to you after game